Hello horse racing fans, and welcome to another racing analysis video. And now for the third year in a row, I will be covering the Pegasus World Cup Invitational. And I have to admit, it's kind of crazy to think that this race has been going on for 6 years now. I remember when I watched the inaugural running with Arrowgate all the way back in 2017 when I was only 12 years old. Now I'm 17, and the next year when this race runs for the 7th year, I'll be in college. Time really flies. But that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about the 2022 field for the Pegasus World Cup, and let me tell you, even though it's a virtual match race, it's one heck of a race. Two of the best speedsters from 2021 will duke it out in 9 furlongs worth of speed, and I'm all for it. So let's go. First up of these two gladiators is the one and only Knicks Go, who aims to become the first ever two-time winner of the Pegasus World Cup, and I think he definitely has a shot. The only horse he'll have to worry about in this race is Life is Good, and this seems par for the course for a typical challenge for Knicks Go. He's dealt with frontrunners before, and he's dealt with the best older horses chasing behind his tail all year last year, so this isn't too out of the ordinary for him. Sure, Life is Good is definitely going to be one of the harsher frontrunners, but as shown in the Breeders' Cup Classic, Knicks Go has been able to scare off the best up-and-coming frontrunners, such as Medina Spirit and Hot Rod Charlie. So, while Life is Good will be a bit harder than usual, Knicks Go definitely has it in him to hold off a scary frontrunner. I gave him a lot of flack for the Breeders' Cup, but I think for now I'm finally going to cut loose and just give him a shot. Go, Knicks Go! I hope you win yourself a second Pegasus World Cup. But with this match race going on, who are you going to use under? Well, most people have chosen Chess Chief, but I feel like because most people are using that as their answer, I think it's now not the best answer anymore. Chess Chief's best performances were a win in the New Orleans Classic and a win most recently in the Tenacious Stakes, which is what got a lot of people on the Chess Chief train. Me personally, though, I feel like at 10-1 and third choice, there are better horses that are a bit pricier that you could get more mileage out of, and also I feel like he's a bit too niche for this. A lot of his best performances were at Louisiana tracks. His two big victories were both at the fairgrounds, and his only good stakes performance in recent memory that wasn't at the fairgrounds was a third in the Ali Sheba. Besides that, he's been consistently off the board, and I just don't like that for a 10-1 third choice. I'd rather choose a horse that I can get a bit more money out of than Chess Chief, so I'll personally pass. But Stiletto Boy is a slightly better option. He's raced in 3 consecutive Grade 1 races and has managed to finish on the board twice in them. A second in the Awesome Again behind Medina Spirit, and a third behind Flightline in the Malibu Stakes. Was he very well beaten in those races? Yes. And will he be very well beaten in the Pegasus World Cup? Yes, which is why this race is kind of perfect for him. It's another race where he can pick up the pieces while the champions go and win by open lengths. He knows how to pick up and get the scraps and get a nice second or third, so this race is kind of perfect for him since there's the big 2 stars, and well, and there's the rest of them. And his win in the Iowa Derby proves that he can win or at least do well outside of California, so that won't be a big deter for me. At a nice 21 price, I recommend him for a nice third place horse. But then there's the other big gladiator in this ring, and that is Life is Good, who will be the biggest challenge for Knicks Go. Is he fast? Oh yes. Has he won a Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile just like Knicks Go did? Yes, which is kind of interesting, because if he does win this, he will have taken the exact same bid as Knicks Go did a year before, taking the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile en route to running longer races, which will be interesting, but the question is, can he do it against the guy who invented that campaign? I think it'll be very hard for him, and it'll be the toughest race he'll ever run in. He could have the potential to do it, however, he'll have to do a lot of hoops. He'll be running at a mile and an eighth for the first time, which honestly won't really be a big issue, but he'll have to worry about another fast horse. Life is Good has easily trounced anyone who's gotten even close to him, and so has Knicks Go, so they will be their own worst enemies, but I think it's going to be more of a problem for Life is Good, who is way more inexperienced. He's an up-and-coming 4-year-old, so this will be his big rite of passage to becoming an older horse and possibly an older champion, to taking maybe even Horse of the Year by the end of this year. It really all just depends, but I think it's going to be a bit tough for him. But now it's on to the tosses. Empty Tomb is, oddly enough, a frontrunner. He showed that when he almost won the Queens County Stakes, and honestly, I think he's just out of his league. He won't be able to run to his strengths without being run to pieces trying to catch Knicks Go and Life is Good. I think he's just in the wrong race and out of his element. Toss. Next, we got an old classic champion, Sir Winston, winner of the 2019 Belmont Stakes, and most recently a winner of the Valedictory. Some people might like him because they'll be like, oh yeah, I remember Sir Winston, he won the Belmont Stakes a few years ago, and that sentimental value might get him a few bets. But for me, I think he is a terrible choice, because it's very clear that he's just a longer distance horse. His only stakes victories, the Belmont Stakes and the Valedictory, have been at a mile and a half. Anything else has just been unsuccessful for him, unless at an allowance level, and even that's a bit questionable. In general, he's just a Pletcher plotter. No matter who he's running for, he'll always be a Pletcher plotter. He's just better at longer races like the Stymie or the Birdstone. I mean, heck, he could probably do pretty well against Lone Rock, but he's not going to win this race. He needs longer, and this is a mile and an eighth. No thank you. And back to the Dallas Stewart horses. I already threw out Chess Chief, and I'm gonna throw out Title Ready. Now, these might be decent undercard horses for some, but they're not my type. Title Ready's only big success in recent memory was the Louisiana Stakes, which he closed in on a slow pace. So he's definitely not going to be able to close in on anything remotely like that in the Pegasus World Cup, and since then he's just been very unsuccessful. 11th in the Dubai World Cup, 3rd in allowance, and 6th in a stakes race. He just doesn't really have that much semblance of good performances in recent memory. I just don't really like him. Toss. But next is a horse that I can, no pun intended, endorse. I'm sorry for that. Endorsed is a Mike Maker horse that has been tossed around a few trainers, and he has definitely showed a lot of talent. When he was younger, he raced in the Travers and produced a gallant 4th, and was also 2nd in the Curlin Stakes. He also produced a pretty solid performance against Code of Honor, finishing 2nd in the Westchester. More recently, he's been running in sprint races, but he's actually been doing pretty good. He was 4th in the Phoenix and 2nd in the Mr. Prospector, so he's still as game as ever, just no matter the distance, he's always got it. But if we harken back to his older races, he can go longer than the sprint races he's been running at more recently, and for that reason, and his general just staked consistency, I think he's a decent long-shot choice. I think he could be coming home late for a decent 3rd. And then lastly, we have Commander, who's the longest shot on the board at 30-1. And you know what, for 30-1, he could be worse. He's won 2 straight going into this race, although he has no stakes experience, which is probably the big turnoff for most bettors. There is some value in there, being a come-from-behind horse who has won 2 straight races and looks to be coming up pretty nicely into the race, but I feel like there are better choices than him, so unless you want to try and maximize the amount of money you could get from this horse, then I think there are a few better choices than him. It's just a matter of what you think. There is a reason to pick him, but I think I have horses with better reasons to choose. So, no thank you to me, but I don't think you should completely cross him out. And that concludes the Pegasus World Cup analysis. What are my final picks? Knicks Go for the win, and then down under, I'll have Stiletto Boy and Endorsed. Pretty simple and easy, nothing really too special. It's the Pegasus World Cup. There's not really a lot of money you can get out of this. It's probably one of the chalkiest Pegasus World Cups we've ever seen. It's definitely still going to be a fun race, though, and I'm going to enjoy watching it on my way to a banquet. Hope you guys enjoyed this racing analysis. Comment down what you'll be doing to spice up this very chalky running of the Pegasus World Cup, and see you guys next time.